Hey, welcome to Midas Letter Live. My guest in this segment is none other than Cam Batley, Chief Corporate Officer for Aurora Cannabis Inc. Cam, welcome back.
Nice to see you, James.
Cam, if federal prohibition was to end in the United States for cannabis, would Aurora take a more active control over its U.S. assets, over Australis? Is that built into the whole pie here?
So that's the second part of it, right? We have this built-in back-in right. So if at any time in the next 10 years the U.S. federal landscape changes, cannabis is no longer a Schedule I drug, it becomes effectively federally legal on a medical basis to start with, then yes, we are able to come back in through that back-in right and participate with Australis and bring that back into the Aurora family.
Okay, and Australis itself will go public at some point in the very near future?
On the TSE and within the next few weeks, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Yes. And so Australis then is a completely separate company,
completely,
with access to some of the resources that Aurora has on a completely separated basis. But what's the management team's mandate in pursuing these opportunities that you described? Are there boots on the ground right now in all of the states that are licensed looking at assets?
Yes. Yes. And here's the thing. What's interesting about the U.S. market? Well, there's lots of interesting things, but one of the interesting things about the U.S. market is that it's not one market. It's a series of different smaller markets, and you've got California with its population bigger than Canada's, and you've got Washington State where there's some very, very cool technology available, and of course it's spreading across the U.S. so that you have 30 states with medical, and 9 states plus District of Columbia with legal consumer. Lots of things happening that are very, very cool that we can see opportunities to leverage in the future, not just in the U.S. but around the world. But it's all separated. They're not operating as one national market. So it's a very, very interesting situation. And you've got to be nimble, you've got to be quick, you've got to have access to the capital, and you have to have very, very good business development people, analysts, and so on to identify those technologies that we consider undervalued, and then bring them in and create something that is a cohesive whole.
Sure. What's the background of the management team of Australis in terms of being qualified to hunt down these assets in the U.S. market?
What do you expect me to say? They're a bunch of potheads?
No. Well, they're a bunch of warriors.
Well, I don't want to speak too much for them because that company very shortly will be speaking for itself. Right. But they're
steal their thunder.
Yeah, exactly right. And remember, we want them to have their own independent voice and to operate completely independently. So what I'll do is I'll broker that and get Scott Dowdy to come on, who's the CEO of Australis. And then you can have that conversation directly, and I think you'll find it quite interesting.
Sure. Okay. One of the viewers' questions, and I'm going to bring this one up because it's got a bit of comedy to it, because the question is, what will Aurora's next acquisition be?
All right.
If you could.
So come on, we can't play those games.
Well, I just thought it was cute because obviously, if you were able to say, then he would already know. So that's kind of an interesting thing.
So just to be clear, and I don't want to insult your viewer. We're joking around a little bit, but we have to follow rules of proper disclosure.
Sure.
And also, more than that, there is an awful lot in this sector, a lot of rumor mongering. Sometimes there are actual leaks, whether the information is good or bad or otherwise. And you and I have spoken about this before. We've seen actual retail shareholders get hurt by trading on rumors.
Right.
And I've spoken to a number of them. So I do want to be cautious about getting that stuff out there. As soon as stuff is fully baked and ready to go, we announce it.
Right. Some of the interesting value catalysts that have occurred in the market as recently as today sort of have implications for Aurora from where I sit, just because you're not in that space yet. And I'm making reference to the Molson Coors deal with Hydropothecary announced today, whereby Molson Coors
congratulations to
57%.
Hydropothecary.
A great accomplishment on their part.
Sébastien St. Louis, the CEO, I like him a lot, and they're doing really good work over there.
They are. But that begs the question, what is Aurora's game plan for the hugely, potentially massive beverage industry?
Can I tell you how much I love the the future of the cannabis-infused beverage business.
Okay.
I love it for a lot of reasons.
Right.
If I were to identify two segments of the market that I'm really excited about, it's cannabis-infused beverages and vape pens, right? Neither of which we are permitted under Health Canada regulations to sell today, but we can develop the products. So the nice thing is we have now 3 dealer licenses at 3 different locations, at Aurora Mountain, at Canamed, and at Anandia Labs, which is our testing lab and deep cannabis science company,
Right.
which is very, very cool. And we'll be talking more about them in the coming weeks. And that allows us to develop all the products that we want to, all our dream list of products. And more than that, we've got an amazing new product development team under Dr. Shane Morris, who actually came over to us from Hydropothecary not long ago. And so he has put together a very, very aggressive new product development timeline for us to have new products that are acceptable under the current Health Canada regulations, and products that we will be able to sell in the future once concentrates and edibles, et cetera, are permitted. But to circle back to the cannabis-infused beverages, you can imagine we have a very, very ambitious strategy in that market. I like that for a number of reasons, and I'll tell you why. I strongly believe that the global cannabis sector will be larger than the global brewing sector, potentially significantly larger, for essentially 3 reasons. 1, there's no such thing as medical beer.
Right.
2, it's the
Well, arguably.
on Friday afternoon, I think we can probably argue that there is such a thing. But in addition to that, it's the multitude of delivery mechanisms for cannabis, right? And if you think about it, it can be inhaled for rapid onset of action and short duration of action. It can be used sublingually, right? We're developing that technology, so something that looks like a Listerine breast strip
right.
Goes under the tongue and has rapid onset of action. You can use it, you can ingest it, and you can have it in a beverage, you can have it in a vape pen. It's great. There's so many ways to deliver it. Plus, and maybe this is the biggest consideration, why I think it's going to be bigger than brewing globally. It's the diversity of experiences available, of consumer experiences. Now, if you think about it, with alcohol, whether you have beer, wine, or a shot of liquor, the same neurological effect is in play, right? Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant, so it has disinhibiting and certain other effects that can be considered pleasant in moderation. But it's always the same effect. Whereas with cannabis, you can have a whole range of different experiences, from uplifting and social, if you want to get together with friends and have a few laughs, to more focused. Let's say you want to stay home and binge watch Walking Dead, or if you want to have an intimate evening with your partner. A whole range of experiences is possible based on the combination of cannabinoids, the active pharmaceutical ingredients, and the terpenes, which are the aromatic compounds which give each strain its distinctive smell and taste. These things are believed to work together in what's known as the entourage effect, the cannabinoids and the terpenes.
Right.
So that range of experiences suggests to me that in each of these segments, add them all up with, I think, a lot of emphasis on cannabis-infused beverages. I think it's going to be severely disruptive to traditional brewing. And that's why Molson Coors and other brewers and distillers are getting into the cannabis sector, because they can see what's happening in states such as Colorado already, where alcohol sales are coming down. There's a substitution effect in play, and people are choosing cannabis over alcohol. So the wise companies are taking a very close look at this, just as Alcanna, a wise company, is now alcohol plus cannabis. Alcanna.
You know, that brings me to a point that I think a lot of investors are missing. Everybody says, is it over? Is the bubble going to pop? And one of the things that people fail to appreciate, and you've just sort of made broad reference to that, is the idea that, there are a range of applications for cannabis, not just recreational, but medically as well, and not just within one small subset in each area. It's a broad range of recreational applications, a broad range of medical applications where cannabis is going to disintermediate the incumbents. So in the case of opiates, we already know that cannabis is stronger or at least as effective as opiates in many cases.
In moderate and chronic pain for some patients, let's emphasize that.
Right.
I don't think anybody's looking at cannabis right now to replace opioids for fractures or cancer pain, severe pain. But you're absolutely right. Because
have you tried shatter? Because that's all I can say. That'll replace an opiate.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah.
And once again, I do want to hear more about these experiences that give you this knowledge. But I just want to finish this point. You're right, because there's the pharmaceutical play, right? There's the pharmaceutical play and the march toward intellectual property, which is why we acquired Anandia, which is why we are so heavily into the science. And we've got a very, very science-heavy company now through the assets that we've acquired, Anandia, Canamed, MedRelief, and our own science, existing science at Aurora. So there's that pharmaceutical play. There's the veterinary play. There are the cosmetic plays. So we also have partnered with a cosmetics company, and we're looking at developing cannabis based cosmetics and beauty products as well. So there are so many potential applications. We haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be huge. This is a very, very valuable emerging sector.
Yeah.
And so when people talk about a bubble, I don't think they know what they're talking about.
Well, I mean, it's a bubble that's going to get much larger before it starts to deflate. And the thing with sustainable bubbles is they don't always deflate completely. They just sort of separate into big companies.
Whenever a new industry is born, we see, if you want to call it a bubble, we see a lot of companies created, right? And then that consolidates down. Not everybody's going to make it.
Right.
One of the things that we wanted to ensure at Aurora is that we're, by God, going to make it.
Right.
And that's unarguable. We're there, and we're going to be around for a long, long time.
Great. Well, Cam, as per usual, it's been a fascinating update. We could probably talk for hours, but we are going to cut it there. And
wait, I have one more question.
Oh, lay it on me.
Is this your dad?
No, that's Ed. Special Ed, who's not here today, so we had him cast in alabaster so I could talk to an inanimate object and pretend I was talking.
I understand. I was really quite puzzled as to why we had Play-Doh sitting there on the table, but you've explained that adequately.
Well, and my father's head was quite a bit bigger. Anyways, Cam, we're going to wrap it there. Thanks very much for coming in today.
My pleasure.